The language we're losing. This is Oscar Brahe, you're watching the Speak Viking channel. I'm about to spill some tea about what's happening to my language, and honestly, it's breaking my heart a little bit. I was scrolling through a Travel to Iceland Facebook group the other day when somebody made a post asking, should I learn Icelandic before visiting? And the replies poured in. No need, everyone speaks English. Totally unnecessary. You'll be fine without it. And honestly, that stung a little bit because I, and maybe you watching this, actually care about Icelandic. And for me, it's not just because I have a vested interest in it. I love this language and it would be really heartbreaking if it disappeared. Here's the thing, convenience is killing languages. Icelanders have become really excellent at accommodating English speakers. It's almost a national sport at this point. And while that generosity is admirable, if a little bit misguided, there's a terrible shadow side to it all. When visitors coming to this beautiful country never hear Icelandic spoken, the language starts to fade into obscurity. It's no longer part of the travel experience. And this post in the Facebook group and the responses to it started reminding me of being in taxis years ago when I lived in Saigon. I would get a taxi, sit in, and I would look around for the seatbelt, and lo and behold, no seatbelt. The seatbelts had been removed and I would be there looking around trying to convey to the driver, hey, I think there's something missing here. And they would sort of smile or laugh and just kind of wave it off. No, don't worry about it. You don't need that here. And I guess I can see how they thought that they were being helpful in this way, but I couldn't help but also thinking, guys, you've taken the idea of accommodation to this crazy place where you trying to help is not actually being helpful. And that's exactly how it feels in Iceland now. This ancient, still living, utterly unique language is being pushed to the side to the point where travelers don't even actually maybe realize that it's a thing. You could potentially have a very complete travel experience all around Iceland without any Icelandic at all. And we're slowly and surely erasing Icelandic from the culture. Languages are like currencies. If you devalue them enough, sooner or later, they're just gonna stop circulating. Push them out of daily use and eventually they disappear. They become, in fact, obsolete. A strange trinket that you laugh at. This is what's happening with Icelandic. It's becoming this weird byproduct of living in Iceland rather than a living part of the people who live here. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you as a traveler need to arrive in Reykjavik able to recite Old Norse, but picking up maybe 3 words, HALLÓ, TAKK, bless, is about more than just getting by. It's about showing some basic respect, having curiosity, being open to something new. And if you don't want to respect the people here, you don't even have to look at it that way. It doesn't have to be respect directly to the people speaking the language. It could just be respect for the language itself. You can respect the language as its own separate thing because, you know, people being people, they're kind of, you know, let's face it, hit or miss. And here's the secret. Those 3 words, those 3 little words can completely transform your trip. Because if you know them, you're not just another tourist passing through with a credit card and a camera. You're someone who cared enough to try. And people feel that. They open up. They share stories, they welcome you in, and it keeps the language going. But more important than what other people think is what you think about yourself. There's something inside you that changes when you make that effort. You stop being a passive consumer of a place and start becoming an active participant in it. You're not just taking photos of Iceland, you're actually connecting with Iceland. I see this transformation in my students all the time. They come in feeling intimidated, worried about sounding foolish. I had one friend of mine who came here and he mixed up the words borða and borga, and that ended up being quite humorous when he tried to buy a soccer jersey. I think you can just imagine that conversation with him and the clerk. Or one of my students asked, hvað klósettið? Confidently. when here in Iceland. Slightly different from hvar klósettið. My student got some puzzled looks. But you know what? Every single person who made mistakes like that lit up when the locals appreciated their efforts. The laughter was warm, not mocking. And the corrections came with smiles, because I believe trying matters more than some perfection that doesn't even exist anyway. So the moment my students order coffee confidently in Icelandic, or they ask for directions and get understood, something shifts. They stand a little bit taller. They smile wider. They feel like they belong, even for just that moment. And moment, by the way, we call augnablik in Icelandic. That feeling of belonging, of making that effort to meet a culture halfway, that means something more than anything you can buy in a puffin-themed tourist shop. It's the difference between being just another tourist who visited Iceland and somebody who went to Iceland and actually had a real experience. Travel has taught me this time and again. The things you think you don't need, the gestures, the attempts, the handful of words, are often exactly what make a place unforgettable. And teaching Icelandic for over a decade has taught me that this language is truly spectacular. It's amazing. It's incredible. We're one of the smallest language communities on Earth. Fewer than 400,000 speakers. We've kept medieval Norse sagas alive for over a millennia. These are stories that would be completely lost without Icelandic. And I think that every time a visitor just passes through here without any brush with the language, we lose a little piece of that living connection to our culture. Here's something that breaks my heart. People will spend hours researching the best restaurants or the most Instagrammable waterfall in Iceland, but they won't take 5 minutes to learn to say hello in our language. And Iceland isn't unique with this problem. This is happening to small languages all across the world. So when it comes to Icelandic, please be a part of preserving it. Don't just brush it to the side dismissively. And wherever you go to next, whether that's Iceland or someplace else, I challenge you to learn just 3 basic words before you even book your trip. And ask yourself, what connection am I missing by staying in the safe lane? What part of the culture am I walking past without noticing? And what part of myself am I losing out on discovering by staying in my safe little bubble? I think sometimes the most precious souvenir that you bring home is not something that you buy in a gift shop. It's a word you learned, spoken back to you with a smile. This is Óskar Bragi. I'm your favorite Icelandic teacher, and you're here watching the Speak Viking YouTube channel. Don't forget to like this if you want to see more amazing videos about learning Icelandic, and subscribe to the channel if you want to keep seeing my gorgeous, handsome face. Takk fyrir og bless bless.